How's it going, everybody? I'm Brandon with Electrical Specialists, and on today's episode of Ask Your Local Electrician, we're going to be talking about a question we get a lot, which is, does my panel need upgraded or changed out? This is a good question. It can be obviously quite an investment, so we want to dig into it, and we really need to know, the first question I ask is, what is the reason that prompted you to call us, or, what is it? What's making you think about this? There's many reasons we could go through. Is it, obsolete or defective? An older panel? Is it in a hazardous location? Do you just need more power? Are you all electric? Are you adding a bunch of things and you need more power? Is that why it needs upgraded? Or do we just need more space? You want to add a few more circuits, you're running out of space. These are all good reasons. We'll dig into each of them individually, but today we're going to be focusing on that first one, which is obsolete or defective. So how do we know if your panel is obsolete or defective, making it a potential fire hazard? So we're going to go with the obvious low-hanging fruit of, most of you have heard of the brand Federal Pacific. If it has red breakers, that's a good sign. It's not the only brand that has red breakers, but it is the most common one that has defective parts. Federal Pacific is widely known for defective breakers. They don't trip. I myself have even messed with them and pop some breakers and they hit some wires together. They arc. You could pretty much weld with it. Is it every breaker in every Federal Pacific panel? No, but it is a lot of them. I won't say a majority because I haven't seen the majority of them, but the ones that I have tested were defective. I can say that at least matter of factually that I have seen this firsthand. So if you do have a Federal Pacific breaker or panel, highly suggest getting that changed out immediately. That is a immediate fire hazard, shock risk. You want to get that taken care of. The next one, which is almost as common, is a Zinsco panel. These were also bought out by, I believe, Sylvania. So if you have a Sylvania or Zinsco panel, they are a common manufacturer. It's something you want to look into. I believe it's a certain model of Sylvania, but all Zinscos definitely have the same thing. They are known to have the breakers melt to the bus bar, and what that means is the breakers don't trip. So going back to the exact same thing we talked about with the Federal Pacifics, it's an immediate fire hazard. It's something you want to look into. I wouldn't wait around on that. It's a design flaw where the breakers just don't work like that, especially when they get older. So if you have a Zinsco or Sylvania, I would definitely have it looked at or just replaced immediately. That's an obvious fire hazard. Let's get that taken care of. The next one's Challenger. This is a brand a lot of you may have not heard of. In our area, we do have them pretty commonly. The idea with this one is the breakers overheat, and when they overheat, guess what? They don't trip again. They have a failure. So again, we're talking about a fire hazard, a shock hazard. You can imagine if the breaker doesn't shut off when it's supposed to, you have an unbreakered load. What trips them is supposed to be a thermomagnetic. It's supposed to get hot, overheat, and trip. So if it's overheating and it's supposed to disconnect the load and it's not, you can imagine all the things that could happen. So once again, pretty big fire hazard. You want to get that out of there immediately as soon as you can. The next one kind of borders the line of, is it a fire risk, a moderate, severe? It's a Pushmatic. There's a Bulldog Pushmatic. I think GE maybe even made them for a while. But if you have a panel in your house where you actually push it in, most breakers go side to side with a switch, almost like a light switch. But these actually push in and hold in. There's a spring in them. The main concern with these guys is that they just wear out. They get gummy. Almost everyone that I've ever messed around with, replaced, touched, done anything with, at least one of the breakers, you push in and it gets stuck. They just get gummy. They were a great product when they came out, but over time they just lost resilience and started malfunctioning, just like any panel is. Rule of thumb, panels just aren't made, any electrical product isn't made to last more than about 30 years. I know that doesn't seem like a lot to some people, but honestly, it's just moving parts. They're not made to last that long. So with proper maintenance, you could get 40 to 50 out of them, but typically 30's tops, because let's be honest, most people aren't doing maintenance on their electrical system. So Pushmatics, again, the major concern is they gum up and they're supposed to trip and pop out, and they just don't, because they're just, the mechanical thing just doesn't work anymore. So you go back to, the problem is the breakers don't trip, going back to a fire hazard, going back to, a shock hazard as well. So the last one we want to talk about is just the old-fashioned screw-in fuse. I think we've all seen these. They're in so many old houses, especially in our area. Turn of the century homes. It was the first panel they had. So these are the glass fuses you can screw in, you can take out. They then went to they're plastic, not necessarily glass, but they're still the screw-in little fuses, 15, 20, 30, 40 amps. The main issue with these is if you have them in your house, they are just extremely out of date. They are literally falling apart. Every time I see one, they're band-aided together. I mean, they should have been changed out 50 years ago. I know they kind of limp along with the system, but if you have one, it's just kind of one of those things where, hey, it was supposed to be changed out a long time ago. It's definitely time now. The main hazards we see are the pieces are just falling apart, honestly. And one of the bigger things is a fuse will blow. They don't trip. They actually blow and go bad. And someone gets tired of, let's say, their microwave blowing a fuse. That's what they used to call it, because it would actually blow the little fuse. So they've got a 15 amp one in there. Well, now they're going to screw a 20 amp one because it fits the same one. Well, that holds better, right? Well, that fuse or a breaker is made to protect the wire. The wire is a certain size. So when you put in a larger fuse, you're actually letting that wire go ahead and melt. So you're just burning your own house down. So please don't do that. I know it happens all the time. In fact, almost every fused panel that I've ever seen has too large of breakers in it because people got tired of them blowing. Totally understand, but that's a huge safety hazard, a huge fire hazard. You definitely don't want your family in a house where the breakers or the fuses are oversized, not protecting that wire, letting it just melt away. We don't want to see that. So that kind of covers the array of, obsolete or defective systems, whether they're, the breaker itself or the panel. That kind of covers the gamut on those. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Obviously, hire a qualified electrician to come look at it if you have any questions. But that pretty much covers it. So next time, we're going to be talking about locations. What locations are hazardous for your panel. You might call and say, hey, I've got one in a bathroom, or every areas we'll cover. But that'll be the next video. So please like and subscribe. And again, thank you for watching.